our show. So come on in and take a seat. Warrior class, we got the keys. Dun, 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 dun. To get you where you need to be, just study our show, and you're gonna grow like crazy. Watching you will see. Dun, 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 dun. Warrior class, we got the keys. Just watch our show, 'cause it's for you and your babies.
Welcome to Warrior Class,
where the teachers whip ass.
And you will too if you pass.
Hey, everybody. Respect and honor to you, Jadarian. Hey, Emmanuel. Shout out to you.
Greetings.
And shout out to all the lurkers out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is the Fight, Flight, Freeze, or Fawn episode. But before we get into that, we got some news.
Yes, sir. So some quick news. I'm gonna go through about 4 things really quickly, and you can, of course, always look them up yourself and go further into them. One of the first things I noticed around the 1st of July was these mysterious walls that they putting up, these steel walls that they putting up all around Capitol Hill, Franklin Square, and it's coming right before the protest. I think is scheduled for today, maybe. So that's something to look out for. Always interesting to see why they're doing what they're doing. At the same time, I want to bring attention to the fact that now ICE is starting to target Haitians. And one of the issues this is causing in places like Florida is that, police already think we look like everybody else anyway. So they have been locking up black folks. And
they don't even have to think that. They could want to lock you up and use it as an excuse.
I'm not going to say what they, you know what I mean? But they locking black folks up.
Haitians are black folks too, so.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, regular black folks, American black folks, I guess is what I mean. But, I say black folks, I'm talking about us because Haitians are Haitians. We the only one don't know what we is. We just saying black. But I use the term black because it's all encompassing at the same time as well. But, so we got to be real careful with these laws. What are they trying to do? What are they really about? Now that they got, the brown, the light brown people, they targeting the darker brown people. And so we got to get careful because Baba could be Haitian for all the police know. I could be Haitian, you could be Haitian, and I'm just saying, like, they already say they describe me as a 5'4" light-skinned man with an afro, and they still come question me about a crime. They can do that.
Well, they can mistake me for a Haitian because I got a beard. Haitians don't wear no beard. You don't see nan Haitian with a beard.
So yeah, man, something to really just keep an eye out on what's happening. Also, I thought very interesting. Again, you can look this up. Xfinity just rolled out the Wi-Fi motion on the Xfinity app, which is confirmed things that so-called conspiracy people have been saying for a while. They're using the Wi-Fi motion to detect people in the house. So it's part of like the security or whatever. It's called Wi-Fi motion on the Xfinity app. So
they decided to start selling it to people.
Right, but they're already using it. They've been using it for the past 10 years. Might as well go ahead and make extra money off of it now. You know what I'm saying? Now that we can detect all your motion, we got it down pat. So let's go ahead and promote and sell that. So I thought that was very interesting. And then I wanted to give some praise out too. But I'll say that for the end because we like to leave on a good note. But I saw an article that I just thought was crazy, and I didn't think it was real, so I had to look it up. A Missouri man was arrested inside a comedy club. Steve Young, a police accountability activist. See, that's the trick. And that's how you know, I just want to say, that's how you know you're being surveilled. Because you out and about in a function that has nothing to do with what you may be tied to politically, and folks is right there ready to come get you. So Steve Young, a police accountability activist, and his girlfriend, Winfred Jameson, have filed a federal lawsuit accusing Kansas City officers of racial profiling and violating their civil rights after a white woman complained about his laughter during Hassan Minhaj set. So the suit claims police officers never bothered to interview witnesses before hauling the couple out of the venue, and that race played a central role in how the situation was handled. The lawsuit doesn't stop there. It also lays out past allegations against one of the officers and raises deeper concerns about unequal enforcement in the law. Basically, what it says here is that a Missouri man says he basically was arrested in a comedy club. That might be some money. I really want to answer that. He was laughing while black, basically. She said she complained to the police he was laughing too hard, and police came and took him, escorted him right out of the
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly.
One, I bet you she was police.
Good point, Barbara. Good point. Yes. So I've seen that with a police officer girlfriend car was impounded, involved, and the police went to the impound and just got the car and tried to pull it out of the drive. The tow company. The tow company locked the doors. It was like, this ain't legal. Y'all can't do this. And you know, basically they was trying to do what they wanted to do. And luckily, when the guy stood their ground, so we just got to be very careful, very careful. So
yeah, I wanted to make a comment on that second article that you, excuse me, that you presented. I didn't mean to cut you though. Were you finished?
No, go ahead.
This is actually reminding me of a conversation that you and I had maybe a month ago. There was one of my Facebook friends had posted a video of a young black man talking about how he didn't understand how he was supposed to feel bad for people who were getting deported because, you know, they were breaking the law and we can't go to other countries and do that. And, you know, just all that kind of nonsense. So I can't remember exactly what I said in response to it. But I said that, you know, let me know you don't know your history without saying you don't know your history.
Right.
I got a lot of very just sort of ignorant comments, you know, in response to it. And, you know, the one thing that it makes me think of is, first of all, the people who jump to tell you shut up and you don't know what you're talking about those sort of things. I feel like the people who are first to jump and do that, you really have to be suspect about what their motivations are for doing that. Because if we, and I think, you know, like, again, we're in the echo chamber, we understand the motivations of white supremacy or domination or whatever words you want to use. You know, we understand that. So we know when we see them moving over here, what they really are trying to move toward eventually, you know. So it's not surprising to see what it is that they're doing with Haitians, because everything that they do is, you know, really eventually is something that they want to use to move against us. So we always have to make sure that we're keeping our mind on that.
Yeah, but
Our mind and bodies.
Yeah, Bo.
Talk about it. So yeah, and like you said, usually the people who objected and being loud are with the opposition
Right.
in some form or another.
One form or another.
It was and I'm gonna tell you, on social media you see it a lot. So something made me just investigate. It was a post, and I don't remember what the post was on, but they were saying that the police officer did this, that, and the third to this guy. And one of the commenters said, well, they're not telling you the guy did blah, 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 blah. And I look at the article, and that ain't nowhere on there. So, like, so where did you get that from, bro? Oh, insiders know that blah, blah, blah. Well, you an insider? How you know?
So then he's saying he's the police.
Right.
Boom.
Exactly.
Went to his page and sure enough.
Right.
So we got to be real careful. That and AI, these bots.
Mm-hmm.
It was a question in the Black Filmmakers post today that said, what was the worst movie depicting Black culture? And the funny thing about it, I'm about to answer, I'm thinking of it. And somebody said, why is AI asking us this question? And you look up and it says on the question, AI sponsored. So like, we got to be careful because we don't even understand the ulterior motives of a lot of the things that happen and being said and done. That's why I started off with the steel walls around the White House. Like, we don't know what that means, but if they preparing for something, a lot of times it can't be great. So what you should be doing is preparing yourself and learn how to survive the urban apocalypse.
Indeed.
All right. So to keep it going.
Oh, greetings, Eugene Mason and the Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah. So that's some things to be like. Real quick again, because rest in peace, the young noble members of Outlaws who died at 47 the day before yesterday, self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
Very questionable, of course. Right now, people are questioning it. A lot of family members are questioning it. So we just want to look out for things like that. It was funny because Bob was just saying, if it comes to suicide, I didn't do it, and so. It's a strange time. Also, I'm gonna get a couple of help things real quick. I did not know that apple trees in America are intellectual property. I just found this out. So all apple trees are intellectual property in America, and that happened because when you get an apple seed, you don't know what type of apple. You can get one type of apple seed, but it can make another type of apple. And a lot of people don't know that. We grow apples in North Carolina and went to North Carolina. So what they did was basically just copyright the seed. They cloned seeds and only let out a certain amount, and controlled. And so now they're intellectual property in America. So I thought that was very wild. Also, in health, they just released that people with iron deficiency really need copper instead of iron supplements. And you can look this up. Iron
deficiency.
Right. It really leads to iron deficiency. But most people don't know that. And so I'll just real quick, I just want to list. Most people with iron deficiency don't actually need more iron, they need copper. I know it's the opposite of what you've been told, but when copper goes back into the cells, it pushes iron out of storage and back into the bloodstream, right where it needs. No iron supplement required for most people, just 1 or 2 milligrams of copper a day, and many people see full reversal in their issues. And copper is essential for healthy blood flow and cardiovascular function. A deficiency can lead to spider veins, varicose veins, aneurysms, strokes, heart attacks, ruptured blood vessels. So a lot of those things people think is related to iron when it's really related to copper. It shows up as an iron deficiency.
That's why I used to wear copper bracelets all the time.
It's funny you mentioned that because copper bracelets are very healthy for you, but some people always complain that their skin turn green when they wear the copper bracelets. That's not because the copper is fake or because because you were originally green as a black man a million years ago, which you might have been. I can't debate that. But what we do know is, Amanika, you can tell them why do people skin turn green when they put copper on?
Well, because I wear copper every day. I wear the same bracelets every day. I've never had any issues. What I found is that when you're acidic, when you have certain things kind of secreting out of your skin, that is what reacts to the copper. So, I actually had a coworker who I gave a copper bracelet to, and like 2 days later, he came back telling me how it turned his skin green. Like you were saying, that because it's fake jewelry, it's not, you're supposed to wear gold, and that's why it's something that's within you, that you need to figure out what it is that you need to get out of you, and that's what's making the copper react like that to your skin.
Exactly.
Iron too. Back in the day, I used to. You said back in the day, but back in the day, I used to hit a bag filled with steel ball bearings, and my father said stop because I was building up too much iron in my skin, and my skin was turning green, but also my fingers and stuff were getting stiff because it was iron.
Right.
So if you hit a bag with steel ball bearings, you have to get this medicine that's called D-Dajal, and you rub it in one direction to break those metals up in your system.
Yep. I guess you absorb it through osmosis.
We have a comment here. I think, I don't know if it's Peter or Pietre.
Petre Dene Wilson
says back in the says back in the day they used to tell us to wear copper bracelets. Yes, when your skin turns green, that's enough of a dose till next time. The copper colors the skin green. Copper oxide. It's not fake. The copper greens your skin while it absorbs into your skin. Copper oxide absorbs, not just plain copper. Zinc and magnesium are important minerals as well. And I don't understand the last comment. Thank you for your
name is pronounced right.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Petre, yeah.
Petre.
So another thing, it's health related because of these mosquitoes are really bad right now. I don't know how they get in my house sometimes, but especially with the things they're doing with, it sounds like I'm talking ridiculous when I say genetically modified mosquitoes. Like it just don't seem real. But we know for a fact that it's been a release in Florida of a bunch of, I don't know, it was 1 million or so. I don't know how many it was, but it was thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of genetically altered mosquitoes. So one of the things you can do that's real simple, and if you're in the area in your house or whatever, it's really hard to catch mosquitoes. You see them for a second, and then it's like they just camouflage. As soon as they move with the light, it's just like they disappear.
Yeah. Cloaking device.
One of the things you can do is get a plate. You can use a regular plate or you can use a styrofoam plate and lightly put oil on the plate. Not to where it's dripping, but just to where the plate is full of oil. And all you have to do is fan, because the plate is big, so you see the mosquito for a split second. You fan with the plate, and it'll stick to the oil. And it's a quick way to get a bunch of mosquitoes in a small area really fast and effectively. It's really efficient.
And another way you can not be bit by mosquitoes is eat garlic. Mosquitoes are turned off by garlic.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. It tastes
but if you eating bananas every day, mosquitoes would tear your ass up.
They like sugar. I know. Years ago when I first became vegan, I started doing fasting, and I noticed that I would be out in the park doing these exercises, and when I started fasting, the mosquitoes stopped biting me. It was like certain things were coming out of my system and mosquitoes just wouldn't mess with me anymore. But I don't know. I never was able to repeat that again after that. But so something came out of me at that time, and the mosquitoes left me alone.
I
And
tell
they were
you what,
bad.
I be eating watermelon and trying to go outside. Them things be on me.
The sugar, yeah, they
Now,
definitely.
I haven't felt a mosquito bite in years.
Lucky son of a gun.
They get my wife, they get my children, but I haven't felt a mosquito bite in years.
So he really telling you how hardcore he is. He ain't felt the mosquito bite. They bite him all the time. He just don't feel
they
it.
do. Because I'm also immune to what's the job? Poison ivy and poison elm.
Now I'm immune to that. Only because of trees, having the tree service and being around it so much. After a while, you just build up a.
I'm not around trees like you are like that, but
that's interesting.
It just happened.
But you're an African priest. You get that medicine and stuff, and you know telling what kind of stuff going on with your body. See,
right?
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Also, real quick, last, I wanted to give a gigantic shout out to the Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. He invested in 42 summer youth camps, 29 literacy programs, extended the rec center's hours to 11 p.m. He had planned block parties. He opened the pools up for safe fun. He opened several schools up for summer classes, and crime is down in Baltimore by 62%.
And who is this?
This is the mayor, Brandon Scott. He was really a real young black dude.
Yeah,
people had a lot of questions about because it's political, not having a real political background or his pro-black stances and things of that nature, and really questioning his ability to lead. And I guess we see now 62% crime. If you know Baltimore, you know what type the type of crime rate that they have. It's been some of the highest in America for years. Oh, yeah. So it goes along with what we know is that young children and even young adults have too much time on their hands and not enough resources. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's some brilliant young people in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's a lot of young people in Baltimore. So having things to do, having entertainment, I can attest to that, man. When you close down the parks and stuff like that, you just asking for trouble. So this was great. I'm
glad it's down 60% because my daughter me. She will be in Baltimore.
All right.
Starting in August for college.
Right.
I'm glad you just said that, but I don't know how that connected to how I wanted to end, but I just wanted to end this with, if you're part of fraternity or organization or religious group or just a group of folks, and you want the training that we offer, we encourage you to reach out to us, any of us on social media, on here, on our Patreon, and we work out how to get us to where you are and get the training that you need. In this time and day, it is more imperative than ever. So we encourage you to reach out to us, to keep watching, to subscribe to the Patreon, but have us come out, because it's nothing like touching hands. It's the thing about this African martial arts. And even some of the things that we will say, you may never hear on air. You may never hear.
And the Kappas and the Sigmas, they use a cane. But I bet you, if they had to defend themselves, they just swinging the cane just haphazardly.
Right.
We can teach you to use that cane in a way that's effective.
Right. To really use it.
Yes, right. We can.
I wanted to actually add something since we were talking about Baltimore. I know we're ending the news segment, but I can't remember the name of the documentary. Maybe someone in the comments knows it. but it came out a few years ago, and it was about a group of young people in Baltimore that were really, it followed each one of them individually, and a lot of them were getting into a lot of trouble, you know, legal trouble, and just different things happening with them in their lives.
The Wire.
Huh?
The Wire.
No, it was a real documentary, and they, you know, just showed the conditions that they were living in and all of that. So I can't remember how many. I think it was just young men, but a group of it was like a nonprofit group took a group of these young men to Africa. And I think they were there for a year. It was like 6 months or a year or whatever. They didn't allow them to have like video games, really no like modern technology, I don't believe. But what they did do was they talked with them, they tutored them, they counseled them, all that during that period of time. And, you know, of course, the young men formed a bond. When they came back to Baltimore, they, you know, were going through their testing for school. And one of the young men, and it was one of the ones who was in like the worst trouble before he left, he took a math placement test and he scored like one of the highest scores ever recorded for that particular test. And, you know, he was not on that track whatsoever before they went, you know, and had this kind of journey. So, I mean, it just shows that there are so many young people like that in our community that, like you said, they don't have the resources, you know, and there's no one in front of them showing them how to go. No one's ever done that for them.
What you're speaking to, I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
What you're speaking to is what we haven't had a chance, most of us haven't had a chance to get, which is what really improves us as humans, is enrichment. Right. After you go through traumatic situations such as slavery, Jim Crow, and redline and everything we've been through, you need enrichment. So by going to Africa, you reduce the noise pollution. You reduce the pollution in the air. You reduce the pollution in the food.
Right.
And that's the enrichment that we need to really thrive in as human beings. We need enrichment. And so like you can, and financial too, but is more so with the senses. We more so need exactly mental enrichment. Mm-hmm. So it's not really about the money, it's about having a chance for it to be quiet. Having a chance to not be breathing in this air, especially in a city, in places like Baltimore, situations like that, and
I think
and all the visual things that you're taking in constantly, dealing with the computer and tech and social media and all that. You're being bombarded with imagery. They already talk about video games, how many of them are causing seizures in people. So just to have that type of enrichment is what we as humans really need for the growth that's necessary for us to actually reach that next level. And a lot of times you have to give that enrichment to yourself, design your life in a way where you can give yourself that. One of the best things we ever did is have a USPI, Urban Survival Preparedness Camp, to where I was able to have my daughter with me over the weekend and not have access to her phone. And even though that was 72 hours, to this day, it still has an impact on her. But she of course she's attached, her phone is attached to her like regularly. But when she's around me, she never picks up her phone. Like the whole time we're around, she never picks up. She's able to put it down where a lot of young adults her age just can't do that. And it started from that one
break.
Right, one break to just break that cord, you know what I'm saying? And that was what all that was needed to give her that chance. So
and by the way, USPI is Urban Survival and Preparedness Institute.
Yes, and speaking of that, someone asked the question, said, you train community organizing? And I would think that Baba is an expert in organizing if you don't know his background, but he was trained to organize. So if that answers your questions, I'm sure he has one of his books will detail organizing, but it's nothing like bringing us out again. There's things you're never going to hear online. We're never going to talk about, even in Patreon, though we appreciate you. Certain things can only be relayed in person. Certain techniques you're only going to get in person.
Yeah.
So with that being said, come together with your family, friends, whoever you need to. You don't have to be an organization. It can be you, your cousin, your niece, a couple friends, and the guy at work. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna try to get rich off of you. So, let us know. Let us know. Get with us and let us know. Petra said, I'm interested in forming a returns union. I don't know what the returns is. What's returns?
Returns. I don't know.
Okay. Well, get with us. Let us know.
The last thing I was going to say, though, too, just like you were saying with the enrichment, is that period of time also, and it's crucial for our people, is it lets you reset the value system. You know what I'm saying? Because the things, like you saying, the things that we look at every day, the things that we interact with every day, your daughter with the USPI camp, is all of a sudden she sees the value in something else. And it's so difficult to simulate that, it's just a hard thing to do day to day. You can talk about it, but if you never actually create a situation in which that happens, then you just keep, days keep going by and you keep doing the same thing.
He meant renters union.
Yeah.
And he said this is hood housing, and we need to organize the residents versus the management company.
That's a great idea.
I was just gonna say, I knew I was a little off as a child growing up, and off is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Off the beaten path is what I mentioned. What I'm talking about is, as a teenager, when I would really want something that I see everybody else has. I don't care if it's if it's a mustard color Levi's. Back when I was growing up, Levi's was the thing, and my friend Block used to go to Raleigh. Went from North Carolina, went to North Carolina. He would go to Raleigh and come back with mint and mustard and lavender Levi's, and I used to be so jealous of those. I don't know if it's jealous of images. I wanted them. I didn't want them off of him, but I wanted them. And one of the things I would think about when I got like that, and it's funny, I swear, I don't know what made me do this, but I used to think, what would matter if we was on a island, or we was in the Amazon, or we was in a tribe in Africa somewhere, or we were like back in the Native American times when it was just, the land was, Yeah. And it would always put me back in perspective. And anytime I used to like look after stuff, I'd be like, mustard Levi's country, you go to hell. I manifest. So first of all, mustard Levi's, I don't know what you're talking about.
Mustard Levi's is country, and also ironing your jeans.
You know what?
When dudes iron their jeans, or
I won't stand
when women iron their jeans, we call them ghetto roses.
This is slander.
That is hood like a motherfucker.
Mustard Levi's came straight from up top, B. I don't know if you're talking about that one.
No, sir.
But yeah, just put things in priority.
Things up top. Not everything catches on. But Mustard
With the
Levi's
middle
caught
piece.
on it.
This was the late 80s, 90s, all right?
Mustard Levi's came straight from down here. I ain't seen nan person wear mustard Levi in Chicago, in New York. Nobody wore no mustard Levi's there.
It was definitely wearing mustard Levi's in New York City. I know they was.
No, sir. Now they were wearing the mustard jumpsuit.
See what I'm saying?
They were doing that.
Next thing y'all gonna say was the jumper, the short set jumper with one strap off was country too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't letting y'all play me like that. Anyway,
I'm going to have to push back on ironing, Baba. Man, ironing those jeans. You telling me you from the hood without saying you from the hood? God,
You had to iron them jeans. What? Before the what? With starch
No.
in the 80s? In the 80s?
No.
I have
With
never,
heavy starch.
never.
Heavy starch.
I wasn't
Never
starching
done.
my jeans, putting no middle crease in them.
Ross said, I still got muscle Levi's, now I feel country. Ross, where you from, bro? Where you from, Ross? If you say South Carolina, I'm gonna be
From
something.
North Carolina. He from North Carolina. So,
Oh shit. Oh, y'all ain't right.
Yes,
I don't want to
greetings,
talk no
Brittany
more.
Bowman. How you doing, sis?
Never
Who
mind.
is?
I don't even want to talk
Oh.
no more. I
Yeah,
don't even
Brittany.
lost minds going. Yeah, no, that was real though. I used to really do that, and it used to help me because we was poor growing up. I'm just keep it real. We couldn't get a lot of stuff, and so at first, I as a child, I used to lie and say I'm gonna get this. When somebody came with something new to school, I'd be like, I'm getting them. My mama gonna buy me them on this. That was the only self-defense mechanism I had.
Wow.
When that wasn't working, I had to go ahead and convince myself this shit wouldn't matter if this whole shit fell apart. This wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care about them Levi's if we was in the jungle. And I used to always picture myself in a wooden boat rowing with a stick. You're like, what would I care about if I was in this situation? You know what I'm saying? Would I care about this jewelry this drug dealer got? I wouldn't. So anyway, that was just my.
So you've been
I'm
about
always.
this life.
I'm extreme, so I had to go to the extreme on one side or the extreme on the other. You know, I'm sort of an extremist with that, so excuse me, but it helped me. It helped me. So anyway,
You've been about this urban survival life.
I've been about it. I've been even in my mind when I wasn't doing, I was doing it.
All right, so we're gonna get to warrior class: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. The primary function of the brain is not to keep you happy or calm. That's not the primary function of the brain. It's to keep you alive. All right. So fight, flight, freeze, and fawn are natural ways our bodies react to real or imagined danger to keep you alive. Fight is responding to a threat by aggressively confronting or standing up to it. Flight is escaping or avoiding danger by physically removing yourself from the situation. Freeze is becoming immobile or unable to act when faced with a threat. Fawn is trying to please or appease the threat to avoid conflict or harm. Mm-hmm. The fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses are types of trauma responses and stress responses that occur when the brain perceives a threat. These are part of the body's automatic defense system, also known as autonomic defense system, which controls involuntarily functions like heart rate and respiration. And we're going to get deeper into that now.
The fight or flight response is most well known, involving either confronting, fighting, or escaping, which is flight, a threat. The freeze response involves becoming still or numb, while the fawn response involves appeasing or submitting to avoid harm. Like Amanica's talking about the group of women that's trying to train fainting when something happens stressful or violent. These behaviors are deeply rooted in human behavior and evolution, designed to enhance survival in dangerous situations. The stress response occurs when the demands of the environment are greater than our perceived ability to cope with them. The stress levels depends on the individual's perception of the events and their ability to cope with the events. For example, taking an exam might not be perceived as a stressor by someone who has good results on taking tests. They feel they can cope, but might be seen as a stressor by another individual who has failed all their tests and they feel they can't cope with this, this leads to a stress response.
When you feel in danger and believe you can overpower the threat, you are in fight mode, Your brain sends signals throughout your body to rapidly prepare for the physical demands of fighting. When someone feels threatened and believes they can overpower the danger, they might react with anger, aggression, or defiance. The physiological or bodily stress response. One, your eyes, the pupils will dilate. It allows your eyes to absorb more light, improves your eyesight so that more attention can be dedicated to danger. You might notice a tunnel vision or realize that your vision becomes sharper. In your ears, it's the same concept for the eyes that applies to your ears. You will notice that your ears essentially perk up and your hearing can become sharper.
Mine always perky though. My ears.
That's not what that's called. Heart rate increases and there is a dilation of coronary blood vessels. A faster heart can feed more blood, oxygen, and energy into the body, enhancing your power to run away or fight. Lungs. Breathing quickens and becomes shallower. Again, this quicker breathing takes in more oxygen for your muscles. Skin. You become pale and your face gets flushed. Blood vessels in the skin contract, directing more blood where it is needed. The muscles, brain, legs, and arms, so your extremities. Your hands and feet get cold because of this too. Muscles, your muscles tense up all over the body, becoming primed for action. Because of this, your muscles might shake or tremble, particularly if you're not moving. Stomach. You may get nausea or butterflies. Blood is diverted away from the digestive system, which can cause these feelings. Mind. Thoughts begin to race. The quicker thinking can help you evaluate your environment and make rapid decisions if necessary. Hence, it can be challenging to concentrate on anything other than the danger you perceive. You may also feel dizzy or lightheaded if you don't actually run or fight under the trigger. And finally, pain. Your perception of pain temporarily reduces while under the fight or flight or freeze or fawn trigger.
Emotional and cognitive signs. Feeling angry is common. It's like your body is gearing up to push back or defend yourself. Anger gives you energy to face obstacles or protect your boundaries. You might also feel fear or anxiety, which often feels very similar to excitement.
That's
like
the dark
heart,
side.
Huh?
That's the dark side.
Like your heart pounding or sweaty palms because your body is getting ready for action. Irritability is another usual sign. Little things might get under your skin more easily. Your attention can get really focused on the threat, sometimes so much so that it's hard to think about anything else. Sometimes you might feel like you're not really in control of yourself, especially if trauma has triggered this response. Because your body is on high alert, you might find it hard to sleep at night. Now, sometimes you might feel like you're not really in control of yourself, especially if trauma has triggered this response. I know somebody who was on a basketball court. They were playing basketball and they were tearing the other people out there up. And so the people decided they wanted to fight him. And he said that he didn't have control of himself. He didn't know what happened. He just know he's not no fighter. He just know next thing he had knocked one dude out, bust one dude's nose. He didn't have control of himself. And I was in a situation where there was a crackhead who had stolen his mother's TV. And so his mother asked me to get the TV back in any way I can. Now, when I was in my 20s, asking me to get it back any way I can was a mistake. So she asked me to get it back any way I can. I confronted the guy. I said, James, his name is James. I said, you better get your mother's TV back right now. He said, I can't. I sold it. I said, you sold a 50-inch, and it was 50-inch back then. It was in the 80s. You
So heavy
sold
as hell.
a 50-inch TV. It's common to have a 50-inch now, but not back then. I said, boy, I grabbed him. That's the last thing I remember.
Hmm.
My friend said I was jumping up in the air. Now, they said this crazy stuff, too. They said I was jumping up in the air, bouncing off the wall, and driving, like holding my leg and driving my knees into his gut and stuff like that. I know I wasn't doing that because that's superhuman. That's superhuman. But I was kneeing him. I'm pretty sure. They said, man, you hit him with elbows, knees. You took him right back to Africa. I said, man, y'all crazy. But I didn't remember any of it. Okay, so that can definitely happen. Now, that wasn't under trauma, though. I wasn't in trauma. He was. But because your body is on high alert, you might find it hard to sleep at night. That's true, too. In moments of strong fear or anger, the part of your brain that normally helps you think things through, the prefrontal cortex, can get overridden by automatic emotional responses, making it tough to stay calm and logical.
Now, like Bob was saying, I've been as a kid in two different times where I wasn't in control. One, I see what's going on, but my hands are moving and I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not saying punch. I've just got my hands up and I just punch. I'm not thinking, I'm not trying to do it. I punch. I done push people that got close to me, and it's like I'm out of body looking from the outside in, and I push them like, oh my God, why you push this dude for? Please chill out. I'm talking to myself. I pushed them again. So I've been in that where I know what's going on. I see it, but I've also been in situations where, like I said, I talked about this before. The white dude, the only time a person ever called me nigga to my face that I know of, this white cat in wrestling. And when I walked into the locker room and he was there, my friend was in his face. I pushed my friend out the way, and then I blacked out. When I came to, I was on top of somebody. And they tell me, man, you hooked up on him, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember none of that. Straight blacked out.
Now, when I was 10, that's when I first went to the school for the gifted, so-called. And I got into a fight with this boy. Now, one boy, Peter, hit a white boy in the back with a ball. This white boy, Richard. I'm not saying their last name, so I'm not revealing who they are. And Peter hit Richard. He turned around and thought I did it. So he waited till we got inside the school. He went in the principal's office, tore off the blade on a like paper cutter, tore it off.
Wow.
And he came at me. And now I had an out of body experience then. I jumped up and it was like I was looking down at him like he was almost an ant. I jumped up, boom, kicked him in the stomach. Then I grabbed his arm that had the blade in it, hit his arm. He dropped that. He dropped the blade. Then I pushed him back, kicked him again. After that, they said he was just going off. And they took him in the principal's office. He was trying to get out the office to kill me, right? Well, he tried to kill me anyway, right? After that, though, he found out who actually hit him. And so I had broken my leg, dislocated my leg, which is worse than a break. I dislocated my leg and I was on crutches, and he was carrying my bag and bringing me my lunch and all that to try to make up for trying to murder me. And I was 10, which means he was 11 at the time, trying to murder me. Now, I didn't think of murdering nobody at 11 years old. So
That's wild.
yeah. All right, it's on you.
Okay. Behaviors that show you're in flight mode. Oh, fight mode, not flight mode, fight mode. You might feel more aggressive or ready to fight. This can show up as arguments, yelling, or even physical action. Yelling or screaming can feel like a release when anger is intense. You might notice yourself or others taking on a defensive body language, like raising your hands, lowering your chin, or curling your shoulders forward, even when there's no actual threat. Sometimes I do that. I'm looking at TV, looking at something real, they fighting and stuff. I find myself all, I don't know if y'all do that. I'm the only one. Something happening real intense on TV, my face, I'm looking at TV like this and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like I get into it. So anyway, sometimes you act on impulse without thinking, like shouting or reacting quickly because your brain control center isn't fully engaged. That's what some of y'all be doing on the street called road rage. You might feel restless or have a strong urge to move around, almost like your body needs to do something or release the tension.
Now, when you said that, you be looking at the screen and your chin tucked, and the reason is because, and we dealt with that part before in another episode, the brain doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality.
Exactly. That's why I stopped playing video games. I talked about that too. All the stress, the win, and you get mad at the person beside you for a minute. You hate them for a second, and so Eugene, we might have did something similar on this topic. We've done a lot of different shows. I'm sure we brushed on how the behavior in fight or flight in some type of
we're gonna be, I think, 5 years in August. So yeah, we've done a lot of shows.
Wow. Dang. That is crazy.
We started in 2020.
We started this. That's crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Anniversary. You need a 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, we need to do something for you. We'll probably just drink on here.
Sounds good.
That would be interesting to see if they notice any behavior changes. You know what I'm saying?
What we do an episode where we're doing technique and we're drinking.
Hell no. We keep taking shots every 30 minutes and then do technique and see if it's a difference in the form.
Right.
I think we already know how that's going to turn out.
I think we do.
All right. Flight means escaping or avoiding the threat. When the situation feels too dangerous to confront, the instinct is to get away as quickly as possible. For example, if you're at a loud party and start feeling overwhelmed, you might leave early to find a quiet place. The physical signs of fight and flight responses, like a racing heart, rapid breathing, and muscle tension, are very similar because both prepare your body to respond quickly to danger. Emotional and mental signs of the flight response. When you're in flight mode, your brain narrows its focus and feelings tied to danger, like fear and anxiety, take center stage. Interestingly, those anxious sensations, like a racing heart or sweaty palms, can feel a lot like excitement. Your nervous system goes into hypervigilance, which means you're on high alert, easily startled, and constantly scanning for threats. If you've experienced attachment anxiety, you might notice you pick up on danger and signals more quickly and intensely than others. Feeling irritable is pretty common too. Your attention gets really focused on whatever feels threatening, sometimes making it hard to see the bigger picture or think clearly. The intense focus can lead to worries spiraling out of control, especially when you find uncertainty hard to handle.
When fear increases, the part of your brain that usually helps you think things through, the prefrontal cortex, as I spoke about before, can temporarily shut down. that means your automatic emotional responses take over, and it can feel like you're losing control or can't think straight. So you get that the prefrontal cortex is shuts down in fight and in flight mode.
Mm-hmm. Behavior signs of the flight response. The most obvious behavior is the urge to run away or escape the danger. You might find yourself avoiding certain places, situations, or even thoughts that trigger those anxious feelings. Sometimes this avoidance is, I was just thinking, I feel like I had a tree service and I feel like I had to avoid it was just so much adrenaline and everything to do that job. So I finally had to just avoid that whole thing. Sometimes avoidance is obvious, like steering clear of crowds. And other times it's more subtle, like emotionally checking out or distracting yourself. You might hesitate or pull back when you're faced with a threat, feeling a strong need to retreat. Physiologically, your body gets ready for quick movement. Blood rushes to your legs so you can run if you need to. And I don't know why, but I think about the worst part about cutting a tree is the top. When you have to do it, they call topping it off, because a lot of times the top of a pine tree or oak tree is still branched out, but you got to get right there at the base, right there before it branches out at the end on the top, and you got to tie yourself up. And when you make that cut to top it off, that's usually the free fall tree. That's not the free fall that's not tied to anything. So when you cut it, it's just going to fall down. So first you got to worry about, is it going to hit something? But the real part is when you got your rope tied to that, your rope is around the tree and you're cutting it. So when the tree falls, it peels. You know how trees peel when you try to peel a branch off, it peels. So it peels past the rope that you got holding on, and it pulls you this way, and then it shoots you back like a slingshot. You're rocking back and forth as you hold on. And there's always a chance, of course, that peel could pop the rope that's securing you. And sometimes I'd be up there at the top of that tree for 30 minutes before I make that 2-minute cut to top it off, just looking, I got it right? Do I got is this? And I'm looking down and I'm looking, making sure, and it's just so freaking stressful, man. Boy. So I just think about that when it comes to anxiety. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
So you fled from that job.
Exactly. I fled from the job. The first chance I got, okay, I ain't even like a small sign. Get the fuck away from here. I saw this got in my eye, and I was like, oh, that's it. I'm supposed to do this no more.
All right. Freeze happens when neither fighting nor fleeing feels possible. The body shuts down or becomes immobile, often to avoid detection or minimize harm. It is often described as dissociation. It can manifest as feeling zoned out, unable to focus, hollow, empty, or lost. For example, if you're startled by a sudden loud noise and feel stuck in place, unable to move or respond immediately.
We see this when people scare people. It's the 3 different responses that you see people do. You scare somebody and they punch you. You can scare somebody and they freeze up.
I'll be right back.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you see this when people all the time. I used to, but the friend Block I was talking about, I used to have to wake him up a lot of times. We fall asleep on the couch or something at the crib or something like that. And every time I wake Block up, he do like this. Every time you wake him up, he like, and look around with his hands ball. And I used to say to myself, I want that reaction when somebody wake me up. You know what I'm saying? Like, but and it's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny as I trained, your responses to being afraid becomes what you train. Like you start putting your guard up, putting your hands up. You know what I'm saying, in front of you. You know what I'm saying? You may move a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Not just doing like this, but you actually move a little bit through training, so you can actually improve your response when being startled. I think that's important to and important to know, because like you said, you see the 3 different kinds of response. You see people, they'll punch you, then you got people you scare them and they run, and then you got people you scare them and they just freeze up.
Well, you know, now how did Block respond when he woke up? When he was
anytime you wake Block up, he wake up like this.
Well, my daughter, Kose for Wokan, she woke me up. I was asleep. We were all watching TV, but I went to sleep. So she woke me up. After this, they all started waking me up by hitting my feet. She hit my chest, and I woke up, and I almost lion mouthed her in the throat. But I realized who it was like at the last second. I said, "Oh my God." I stopped, and she said, "Oh," and she just laid into my chest, like relieved that I ain't kill her.
I was saying the training really can dictate how you respond when you get startled too. The training really does, because I see my response, it alters through my training. You know what I'm saying? Different response. Sometimes I hammer, I'm doing like that, just put my hands up like that. It changes as my training.
It's funny, whenever, like my wife, I thought she wasn't at home, and she came into the room, and that startled me. I immediately go for that lion's mouth. Immediately.
It's funny because I think of the lion's mouth attack a lot as a first response. So I see the progression of that's where I'm getting at with it too. Because I always think of that. That's the first thing with the pop. So yeah.
I mean, it's a great
foolish.
Lion mouth is you this is lion's mouth, and you hit the person in the throat or in the hip. Knee but it's usually used in the throat. That is a great go-to if your hands are up, like, hey, I don't want to fight, and the person, no, I'm gonna beat your ass. It's a great opening.
Think about it all the time. Sometimes
because after that hit to the throat, you can be sure you're gonna get a hit off to his jaw, temple, because he's gonna be and so you get a free hit. Bow, 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 bow.
Or you could flee. You got time to get flee.
Or you could cut him.
Bullet too.
Yeah. Fight, flight.
Cut.
Now in that case, I ain't gonna freeze or fawn, but I'm gonna fight or flight. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the decision making. This depending on where you at, who's around. I just want to say I feel so adult when drinking tea in the summertime. I feel way more adultish than the winter.
Now you dealt with freeze, right, homie nigga?
I believe so. Yes, I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when your body goes into freeze mode, it's like hitting pause to conserve energy to survive. You might become very still or rigid, like a deer in the headlights, and your movements can feel jerky or slow. Your heart rate can actually slow down, and your metabolism takes a break to save energy. Your gut might react too, becoming more sensitive or inflamed. And your body can go into an inflammatory state, signaling it's under stress. At the same time, the part of your brain that usually helps you think clearly, the prefrontal cortex, again, takes a back seat, letting more basic survival instincts take over. Now in that gut, I always get that gut feeling, but not to freeze. I get the butterfly feeling, the fight feeling. I get them butterflies, man. Bad.
Yeah, I do too.
Darian says that YouTube is blocking some of his comments. Make sure that you have all comments selected instead of just top comments, because you won't see all of the comments if you just have top comments selected on there. And I think top comments is the default. So try that.
Okay. Yeah, that happens sometime with me too. Freeze can leave you feeling overwhelmed, like the situation is just too much to handle. You might feel numb or flat, like you're on autopilot, disconnected from what's happening around you. Sometimes people mentally check out or disassociate, like their minds go somewhere else. You might lose your usual sense of purpose or struggle to make decisions. Negative thoughts can creep in, and procrastination or feeling stuck is common. Many people feel ashamed of freezing, not realizing its actual natural way the body tries to protect you. So you,
what freeze looks like in behavior. You might find yourself cowering or trying to hide, curling up protectively, slouching, or just moving very little. Simple tasks can suddenly feel really hard, like grabbing something from the refrigerator. You might just go through the motions without really engaging. Sometimes you might avoid places or situations that trigger these feelings, or you might emotionally numb yourself to cope. Because of feeling overwhelmed and low on energy, some people even lash out or push others away as a way to protect themselves.
The freeze response can sometimes deepen into what's known as fright, flop, or collapse. This is an even more intense form of freeze where the body goes completely limp or shuts down, almost like a protective shutdown. Instead of just being still or tense, the person might feel physically unable to move or respond, almost like fainting or going into a state of numbness. This reaction is thought to be an extreme survival mechanism. By becoming motionless and unresponsive, the body may reduce pain or avoid attracting further harm during a situation where fighting or fleeing is impossible. While it can help in the moment, afterward, people may feel disconnected, confused, or experience difficulty recalling the event clearly. It's important to understand this isn't a choice or weakness, but a natural automatic defense reaction to overwhelming threat or trauma. Now, I had a student, a female student, who went through this. Two female students. One, me and Belay were having a conversation with a student, and we were training first, and I did a certain technique where it's called smoking them. We cover the nose and the mouth, and we
talked a little bit before we started the technique, though, which set the stage, kind of.
Yeah, and she just froze up after that. Then she started crying. So that changed the whole.
And she's usually an aggressive person when it comes to training and her movements.
Right.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, that's right. Now, before that, years before, I was living in Stone Mountain, and it was a bunch of brothers, and this one sister came for class. This was the only class that she came to because she felt ashamed. What happened, we were doing some ground techniques, and she was trying to do an up and over escape, but she couldn't pull it off. I said, come on, push her hip up. She wasn't pushing her hip up. And then she just gave up. Like it seemed that way. She just froze. She just, arms went out. She just laid back. Legs went straight like she had fainted. And after, she didn't have a clear memory of what had happened.
Wow.
Trauma. So some trauma.
Yeah, she had suffered trauma before that, and that just brought her back to that trauma with somebody on top of her like that. So she did the freeze move.
That happens to me when if I'm sparring with somebody, go like this. I get trauma thinking about my brother used to have me pinned up in the corner before he punched me.
That's why you turn your head sideways when somebody punching at you.
I knew you was gonna throw shots. See, anyway, So fawn involves trying to please or appease the threat to avoid conflict or harm. It's common in situations where the person feels powerless and tries to keep the peace by complying. For example, if a boss is angry, you might agree with everything they say, even if you disagree, to avoid further conflict. Essentially, the fawn response is about creating safety through submission and appeasement, often at the expense of one's authentic self, to prevent confrontation or abandonment. Now, fawn, that's definitely not a bad thing in certain situations. Certain situations are going to require you to be probably the most efficient response is probably going to be the fawn. Now, a good example.
And older black folks call that taking low.
There you go.
Take low.
Now, a great example is Baba uses a lot. If a guy come in to rob everybody with a shotgun, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to agree with everything he's doing. If he say, whatever it is, we're going to go with it until I can get a chance to do what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always a bad thing in the situation of your boss at the time. He mad and say, you so and so. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Whatever. You're just trying to keep the job at this point. So
now I had a boss. So my student Kunle used to work for him, and Kunle left that job. I took Kunle's position at the job, and I believe it was the last job other than security I worked. So he told me that well he didn't like that I punched in 2 minutes before I had to punch in. I said, hey, I'm punching in. He said, but you're sitting in the break room with a Starbucks coffee. You could punch in before that. I said, dude, I'm punching in earlier than my job starts. I said, just like that. So I kind of disrespected him. Dude, called him dude, and he said, you think you're just bad. You think you're bad. I said, what? He said, like Kunle thought he was bad because he's a martial artist. I would have whooped his ass, and I'll whoop your ass. This is the boss and I tell you, it's at Office Depot. This is the boss. I said, you whoop my ass? I said, lock the door and I'll beat your ass. And it was an assistant manager in there too. I said, I'll whoop your ass and I'll whoop his ass too. He said, what do I have to do with it? I said, you sitting in here to back this man up. So I fuck you both up. He said, no, you wouldn't. I'll beat your ass. I said, you keep saying it, but you ain't moved to do it. Please move to do it. What's going to happen is I'm going to beat the shit out you and you're going to lose your job because I'm going to report you. I'm going to report you. He said, see, that's the only reason why I'm not doing it. I said, man, I will beat the brakes off you. Believe that.
Your conviction in situations like that.
He was a little gnome-looking white dude, too. Mm-hmm. Little short, 5'5", 120-pound white dude. I said, man, I will beat the brakes off you. And so you get that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to farm with him. I have farmed before, but I wasn't going to farm. So I wasn't going to farm with him. I was in fight mode.
That's big of you to admit, Baba. I think we've all fawned in job situations. It's funny though. That's like the thing about working in a place, especially because of what this society kind of holds as leadership, as opposed to like what real leadership is. So you have these people who are supposed to be your whatever, your supervisor, or whatever they call them, and they are like just like lesser people. I mean, that, to use the best term I can think of, but at the same time, because they've been given this position, they feel like they're the expert on everything. So he's your boss at Office Depot. So that also means that he could whoop your ass.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but what's crazy about Office Depot? Right after that, I left out the office, and I got my jaw and shoulder snapped. I got my jaw broken, and I got my shoulder dislocated. Not by him. The assistant manager, he had stacked up boxes. I was like, why is he stacking these reams of paper? Reams of paper. Each ream weighs 20 pounds. Why is he stacking up these reams of paper like so high? Because we aren't supposed to stack reams of paper like 3 feet. He stacked it like 9 feet. I said, why'd he do this? And he said, pull this in the front for me. I said, man, you stacked this too high. He said, it's all right, I'm gonna help you. So I'm gonna push while you pull. And he pushed that motherfucker hard, and I to this day I think he did it on purpose. He pushed it, and the boxes came down. One hit me on the top of the head, and I was about to pass out, and I said, no, I refuse to pass out. That's probably what he wants. So I wouldn't pass out. So I stood my ground. I went black, and I stood my ground until the lights came back on. Then right behind that, boom, to my jaw. My jaw's dislocated. Well, broken, actually. And then boom, 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 a bunch of them fell on my shoulder, dislocated my shoulder. So I had, bleeding in my shoulder. And of course, yes, I sued Office Depot and got substantial money. But
good for you.
From that, I can't go into Office Depot ever again. That was part of my agreement for get my money. I agreed never to step foot in office, which I have, by the way. But I agreed never to step foot in Office Depot, because how they gonna know unless I go back to the one where I worked? Right. How they gonna know? But I had to sign a release saying I would never step foot in Office Depot. I had to sign that by the corporation. Office Depot.
I used to say the same thing to my homeboy D when he got caught stealing jeans out JCPenney's. They say you can never come back in here. Man, how you gonna know you can come back in the mall, man? They ain't gonna know. It's been 5 years. I ain't going back in there, man.
Now I will never step back in the place where I worked at, which I won't name where it's at.
Of course, yeah. They probably got a sign. They talk about you.
Nah, they probably are talking about me even today, because I hit them for a lick. I hit a lick on that.
They probably changed their policy due to you.
It was funny. The lawyer said nobody ever gets this sum of money. I stated what I wanted, because I had divination and if I said to state what I want. So I stated what I wanted. She said, the lawyer, nobody ever gets that amount of money for what you're talking about. You're talking about money, somebody got killed. I said, I want the money I had. And I told her, I said, divination told me. She said, oh, you should have said that in the first place. Because, she was Jewish, and they, and she dealt with the Kabbalah, which is their form of divination. Mm-hmm. She said, oh, you should have said that in the first place.
Wow.
And it changed her whole energy, and she went in and asked for the money I asked for and got it.
You got that sprung your eye, that Eddie Murphy Raw I sprung my eye type money. Eddie Murphy said, I sprung my eye, 2 million, y'all.
Somebody said, Office Depot going to go out of business. Good.
Okay, where we at? Yeah.
He said OSHA, some Kitty said OSHA violation, it had to be on purpose. Right. Right.
Yeah, he tried to kill you, Baba. That's another one.
Tried to. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what he was hoping for, to kill me. Not, and that wasn't just to injure me. I mean, coming from that high,
Oh yeah.
hit me in the head. Yeah, he was trying to kill me. And then after I got hit and my jaws are over here and shit, they say, "Oh, we're gonna take you from back here and shipping receiving. Take over the register." I said, "Take over the register." Well, I didn't say it. It was a brother, a white dude in there who was a chiropractor. He was in chiropractic school at Life University. He said, "Take over the register. This man has a broken jaw." And so he said, "Look, man, I want to take care of your recovery." But he was a student. I said, "Shit, no." So I went to a physical therapist who does physical therapy for the Atlanta Hawks, and he got me right. But it was painful. I mean, in my jaw, as my jaw healed, after he went into my jaw, and he said that there's fluid built up from lymph nodes, and he was, oh man, that hurt it.
Man.
That hurt.
I dislocated my jaw. I can't imagine breaking it.
Oh, it was terrible.
Pain.
Kabbalah, a verbal tradition of magic passed matriarchally within Judaism. Yeah, that's what I've heard. No, I know it's not a book. Yeah, I know it's their form of divination and magic and.
No, I think he was talking about the student trying to heal your.
Now he was Jewish too, but he didn't use no book. He was wanting me to come to him. You know, when they have lab when they at the end of when they graduate, they have lab. So he wanted me to come to him. I said, "No, sir." And a chiropractor can't help this.
Right. Can't reset nothing. Chiropractors can't reset.
Right. I'm like, chiropractors deal with the spine, and you know, they ain't resetting no bones. I said, "Shit, I gotta go to actual and well, the way I went to the hospital first, but then Office Depot offered to pay for the physical therapist. Not offered, had to.
Right.
Yeah, not like out the kindness of their heart. That was also part of my suit.
Some kidda, I don't know why I think this is so funny, but he said he wanted to set you up on, I guess because they tried to send you to the register. He wanted to set you up on a theft. That could be.
I wouldn't have been thinking straight. I was in so much pain. I wouldn't have been thinking straight on that register.
Right.
That was slick.
Might come up short at some point. Even a few dollars, they would have got rid of you.
They probably was skimming anyway, so they could have set them up for that. You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? They have this a black assistant manager, a woman. Pat, her name's Pat. I'm telling the name. Her name.
Pat.
They had her in there overnight cleaning up the area where I got hurt.
Oh wow!
Moving the thing, yeah. But she don't know. One of my students was filming her in there while she did that, because she didn't know that was my student, and she didn't know they were in the area to film. So I had a dead the rights. We gave that to the lawyer. They were finished. So, and what they were doing, they were trying to clean up the area, like get rid of all the boxes, get rid of the blood. They were trying to make sure that if I sent the lawyer in there, then the next day she couldn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no evidence.
Right. All right.
The fawn response is an adaptive survival strategy identified alongside fight, flight, and freeze. It is an automatic self-protection mechanism where someone tries to appease or submit to a perceived threat in order to stay safe or maintain connection. This response is often learned early in life, especially when fighting or fleeing weren't safe options. It is particularly common in people who grew up in abusive or harmful environments. For example, an abused child with narcissistic parents might realize that agreeing and being helpful is their only way to survive. Over time, this pattern can look like constantly putting others' needs before your own, even when those people treat you poorly. You might find yourself more focused on making others happy than taking care of yourself. Basically, fawning helps avoid conflict and keeps important relationships intact, even if those relationships aren't healthy.
Okay. Fawning helps avoid conflict and keep important relationships intact. Yeah, even if those relationships aren't happening. It's like we said, the job situation or abusive boss. You know you're an idiot, don't you? Like, yeah,
or an abusive husband, wife,
or a drill sergeant.
Well,
Or yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, whew,
you're a fool, ain't you, sir? Ain't you, sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, no, they can't do that. Not call you a fool. But I had a drill sergeant. He was 5'3". Little dude, little white dude. He caught me downstairs. So I was in second platoon, which is on the second floor. He caught me downstairs where first platoon goes. And actually, if he had caught me a little earlier, I'd have really been in trouble, because what I would do, I would run. I was the fastest runner. I would run across to the vending machines, like people would pay me, you know. I would get them items from the vending machine, run back, give it to them. In first platoon, second platoon, and third platoon. But he caught me right after, as I was walking away, but I was downstairs. I wasn't supposed to be downstairs at 9 o'clock. I was not supposed to be down there. He said, "What are you doing down here, boy?" And he took his, now what they do is they take the brim of their hat and they push it into your face or your chest. And he couldn't get my face because he was too short, but he pushed it into my chest. It was pushing me back, you know. Now I could have stood my ground and not gone backwards, but this is the drill sergeant who can take your money. He can take your a month of pay and not keep it for himself, but make sure you don't get it. I need that money to send to my family, to my wife. And I don't need to be catching hell while I'm in basic training either. So I let him back me up. I fawned. Definitely fawned for him. So when you said drill sergeants, hell yeah, you fawned for a drill sergeant. You muted, Belay. You muted.
Yeah, no, I say, yeah, you fawn for your mama.
Well, of course, yeah, you do. Well, some,
right,
most
exactly.
Some people don't fawn for their mama.
Right. I have to fawn for mine.
Yeah, I fawn for mine too.
Most of the time. I'm keeping it real. Most of the time, I fawn for my mom.
Yeah. All right. So, behavioral signs of fawning are people pleasing. Individuals may exhibit a strong tendency to please others, constantly doing things for them or agreeing with others, even if it goes against their own desires. Sometimes parents fawn for their children too.
Mm.
Submissiveness. There is a stepping back and submitting oneself, often to avoid conflict or harm, such as not wanting to be hit or screamed at. This can lead to a lack of expression of one's unique personality or true self. Lack of boundaries. Difficulty in setting boundaries, saying no, or expressing one's own wants and needs, even if it leads to being in undesirable situations. For example, being in a restaurant one dislikes, but saying, "It's cool, guys, no problem."
Right.
Sacrificing self for connection. Children, and by extension, adults, may unconsciously undermine their own needs for personal freedom and sovereignty to stay connected. This can even manifest as unconsciously getting sick to gain attention and maintain a connection. That's all part of fawning. Changing personality. Individuals may change their personality depending on who they are with because they want to be liked, leading to a feeling of being a sycophant or being taken advantage of. I can't stand it. I've seen people that they'll say something like, "No, I'm not doing it," and then somebody will disagree and they'll agree with that person. That's fawning. That is a survival mode.
That change in personality is big.
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of people do that. So anyway, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses are natural adaptive behaviors that help keep us safe by preparing our bodies to react quickly to threats. These threats can be real, like physical danger, or imagined, such as worrying about something that might happen. These automatic reactions come from evolutionary biology and work to maintain homeostasis or balance in the body during stressful situations. Back in prehistoric times, our ancestors faced real physical dangers like saber-toothed tigers, and their survival depended on reacting instantly. Today, our tigers are more likely to be physiological stressors like job interviews or deadlines, but the body reacts in the same way.
Psychological stressors, yes.
Oh, psychological, excuse me.
The response is part of your sympathetic nervous system, and it happens without conscious thought. It has been hardwired into us through evolution to help us survive. When triggered, the body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which boost energy and focus, helping to confront danger, escape, or protect ourselves effectively. Excuse me. The term fight or flight was first coined by American physiologist Walter Cannon in the early 1900s. It is observed that animals, when threatened, release hormones like adrenaline and that prepare them to act fast, calling it the acute stress response, a built-in survival system designed to protect us with life-threatening situations. The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response has been with us since the beginning of time and still plays a crucial role in coping with stress and threats in our environments.
When these responses become problematic, phobias are great examples of this and how the fight or flight response might be falsely activated. So phobias are an extreme example of fight or flight response. A person who is afraid of cheese might experience acute stress if they go to a family dinner or visit a restaurant. Even though typically these things are enjoyable to most of us, family get-togethers for dinner or restaurants, the person in question will experience their body going into alarm mode with their heartbeat and respiration rate rising. If the response is severe, it can lead to a dangerous panic attack. And yes, there are people who have a phobia of cheese, by the way. In fact, we suffer negative health consequences when faced constantly with psychological threats that we can neither fight nor flee.
Early childhood experiences, especially those involving trauma or chronic stress, play a powerful role in shaping how we respond to threats as an adult. When a child grows up in an environment where safety feels uncertain, such as in the case of neglect, abuse, or household dysfunction, the brain survival system becomes highly sensitized. This means the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses can become the brain's default way of coping even long after the original danger has passed. For example, a child who experiences unpredictable or harmful caregivers might develop a strong fawn response, learning to please others in a way to stay safe. Again, these responses are not signs of weakness or failure, but rather adaptive survival strategies formed in early life.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute. The fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses are natural, adaptive survival mechanisms. However, there are clear indicators that these responses have become maladaptive and warrant seeking help when they significantly impair your well being or daily functioning. It is important to remember that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness, and that your body's responses are often protective, even when they feel overwhelming.
You should seek help if you experience feeling overwhelmed, you're struggling to manage daily life, and your emotions are affecting your relationships or stopping you from reaching your goals.
I need help, y'all. My Cash App is, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Long-lasting impact. Tough feelings or reactions stick around long after the stressful event and start to take over your life. Intense emotions. You often experience panic, dread, or terror so strong it's hard to cope or think clearly. Emotional numbness. You feel disconnected or like you're just going through the motions, unable to feel joy, love, or excitement. Your mind might even drift away from reality. Unhealthy coping. You rely on food, alcohol, or risky behaviors to get through tough times,
Wow.
which may provide short-term relief but keep you stuck. And that's common,
Yes.
especially food.
Yep. Especially alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah, all of them, but
Oh, I'm about to say.
but for people that don't drink, people that don't drink, they steal that food.
Yeah. And then the risky function would be right under that.
And thoughts of self-harm, having thoughts about hurting yourself or not wanting to be here anymore is a serious warning sign that needs immediate attention. Just recently, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, I'm thinking about checking out. There's nothing that nobody can say to me to change my opinion. I think I'm just going to check out his life. And then, people were saying stuff like, nah, you good, stay here, blah, blah. They didn't know what to say, really.
Right.
Because that person had thoughts of self-harm. When you get to any of these that I named, you should seek help because those are severe and they're harmful. So you should seek help. There's no shame in seeking help for an issue that you have. No shame. Okay. So, and in it, you seek help, but stay aware of your needs and wants and what you don't want. I went to a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists recommend medicine, so you really shouldn't go to them. But I had to as part of trying to get disability. I was trying to get disability, which I didn't. But the psychiatrist diagnosed me with severe depression, which means he had to give me medication to take. I said, okay, you can give me the prescription. Well, she could give me the prescription. I didn't go and fill the prescription. I wasn't going to take no medicine. So the psychologist asked me, "Are you taking the medicine?" You know, I said, "Hell no." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because that medicine gives you iterative thoughts, meaning thoughts of suicide." He said, "Yeah, man, but it's only 2%, a 2% chance you commit suicide." I said, "I don't care if it's 0.2, a chance I'll commit suicide."
Right.
No,
right. That's too high.
Right. I'm not. And so then he said, "Well, okay, for depression, take," and he said I had moderate depression. The psychologist said severe, so they can give me that medicine. But he said, for your depression, take, eat microbiotic foods.
Okay.
I said, and that'll cure the depression. Yeah. I said, well, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? As opposed to asking why.
Because I get paid to prescribe these drugs to you, my brother.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Brittany Bowman has an excellent question. I like to answer first if possible. Can self-deletion ever be the right answer to y'all? I'm going to say yes. If you're a pedophile or serial rapist, kill yourself. I'm okay with it. I've never said that. I used to hate when people say, "Man, kill yourself." I was like, I'm never going to say that saying. I don't like that as a fad or anything. But if that's what you are and you can't help yourself, kill yourself. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. So that's the only reason I can think of.
Kill yourself when you're a rapist and what else?
A pedophile.
Oh yeah.
Kill yourself. It's okay.
Kill yourself before somebody else kill you.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Or allow yourself to be, turn yourself into folks that'll handle you. Same thing as killing yourself. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Now, can self-deletion ever be okay? Other than that, no. You shouldn't be offing yourself. Now, I don't. Some people say, suicide's a form of. Well, I say in another situation, if you're in chattel slavery, you might.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I could think of a few situations where it would be.
I'm thinking of a couple more too. But if you're abusing your children and you can't stop abusing your children, abusing your young child.
Abusing your children, not raping them.
Yeah, no, it could be just physically abusing your children.
But somebody physically abusing their child, they're not gonna self-delete because they don't see that they don't see themselves as doing wrong.
Yeah, I can get you. I mean, because abuse, physical abuse.
Most of us in our age range, we suffered abuse.
Right, and so I would say, I was just about to say before you said that, there's measures of physical abuse too. I'm not talking about just getting beaten. Like that could be considered physical abuse, but I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I've grown with people.
Jadarian said you all should do a book series where you go into deeper detail on the warrior and survival books you have for Patreon.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Matter of fact, we talked about that. I sent Bob a message not too long ago about talking about his books, having deep dives on his books. I mean, golly, you right there, Joe.
But Jadarian said we should do a book series where we go into deeper detail in the warrior and survival books you have.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. We feature some of your books and go into a deep dive about what we really talk about in it.
I thought he meant we should write a book series.
Oh,
warrior class on so and so.
Well, it can't be on. He's saying on Patreon.
Now, to avoid torture, there's a technique that you can do where you build a fortress in your mind so you can survive torture.
Yeah, you talked about that before too.
You don't have to delete yourself in that situation, Jadarian. But if you don't know that technique, you may want to. But now I tell you, with torture's strength is in the fear that it produces of pain, not the pain itself. Once you suffer the pain, you suffer the pain.
Right. But
It's like when you go and whoop a child. When I was gonna get whooped, my mother would snap the belt like that. That was worse than the ass whooping. The ass whooping.
My mom would tell me, "I'm gonna whip your ass when I get home," and you got all day to think about the ass whipping.
Right. See, that's the mental. That's torture. That is torture. That is the worst. It's the pain is not gonna.
That's why they would torture somebody, and you got to listen. You hear what's going on in that room. By the time it's your turn, you telling everything. Because
when you get tortured, when you torture somebody, you roll out your tools slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So they may see pliers, and they will, what the pliers gonna do? And they may ask you, what the pliers for? Oh, that's for your molars. And then you go keep unraveling it. So they thinking, damn, he gonna pull my motherfucking molars out my mouth.
Right.
And that is the torture.
Right. But yeah, definitely we have definitely been thinking about that, featuring some of our books and going into a deep dive chapter by chapter and explaining, going into what he's talking about on some of those survival books. So yeah, we may do a book series on Patreon coming soon.
Emmanuel Briggs said that belt snapping reenactment just gave me a flashback.
Oh yeah, that pop. See, my mama didn't do that. My big brother did that. When mama get home, she's snapping the belt like this. Boy, your ass, when my mama get home, boy. Used to make me sick with that shit.
My mom would hit that belt.
Or go pick your switch. Go pick your switch. Oh my God.
That's down south. Yeah.
Oh my God. My Aunt Geraldine. Oh Lord have mercy.
My aunt told me that one time. I was 5. I was acting up doing something. And she said, go get me a switch from outside. Ooh. And it better not be no switch that can break too, because before she had said it before, and I got one that could, easily crack. And she said, better not be one that can break. I'm like, damn. So I'm walking all slow looking for the switch and shit.
That's another level too. Make you evaluate the quality of the switch.
See, my aunt had a big switch, about that thick. So if you pick one that wasn't strong enough, she's gonna get hit with that. So you gotta pick a good switch to get beat with. That was so bad. That would be damn. That was bad, man. We'd be outside for 30 minutes. She don't care. Take your time. You still gonna get this. It's only making it worse for yourself. You stay out there, you crying while you picking the switch. That one, and beating you in front of all of my cousins. We all stayed with my Aunt Geraldine on Saturday. So it'd be like 10 of us sometimes, all 8, ranging from 15 to 8. If one got in trouble, you got beat in a circle. We was in a circle, and a person had to stay in the middle of the circle and get beat. And if anybody laughed, she would immediately, as soon as you laughed, she would stop beating that person and beat you.
Wow.
So it was all type of torture happening around there.
Now, the way my mother would do, she would tell me to pick out the knife I want. Pick out the knife. And so I would pick this knife, and she would use that, and she would cut off the tip of my fingers. So, like, all these tips of my fingers are prosthetic. They prosthetic.
All right. So, see,
You got
Had
the
to
best
do this.
story, Baba. You
Said, I've had to do this, Lord. Why? About the switch? Yeah, I think 90% of black people have had to do that.
Yeah, you had to pick that switch.
Especially if you stepped into the South. Now, my mother, my father never had me do that up north. But once I got South,
How many times your friends ever told you about how they was getting beat and you realized they was getting tortured, like real abuse? Like, of course, we getting beat with switches. Then my cousin Lynn that you met, he was like, man, my mom beat me with a hanger the other day. I was like, God damn, a hanger?
Well, when people say, I got to be the extension cord, that's who. And that was, I hear all my friends, that was common. I never got hit with extension cord, hangers. That's really crazy. My mother never slapped me. My father never slapped me.
No, I never got slapped. They never put hands on me.
And that's a taboo.
Lying.
That's actually taboo in the tradition of Bifa. It's a taboo to slap your child anywhere in the head.
Oh yeah, my mom slapped the shit out of me. I'm sorry, I forgot. She slapped me so hard I forgot.
But I got popped in the mouth.
That's what it's called. Bop. You get bopped in the mouth. That's what mama did.
It was like, and I mean, it felt like my lips just swelled up. And it was
hit you with a ginger fist.
Seconds after I made the comment, it was like she was already ready with it, you know.
Man,
yeah.
I'll be back. Hold on.
They didn't know better,
I just told somebody that story earlier today. That's so funny.
My mama hit me in the mouth, and I had just got braces, so I let the blood from my lip just trickle down, make her feel bad. She got me some ice cream.
Oh wow.
I got some ice cream out of getting bopped in the mouth. But yeah, now I will tell you one time, my dad only beat me 4 times in my life. And I remember all 4 because the father beating you is a different type of belt. There's a different type of strap. I don't know why. I had enough sense. I was maybe 8 or 9, and I took my dad fur Kango in the tub with me.
Oh my God.
I don't know why I put it in the tub. I don't know why I did this. I don't, to this day, I don't understand. It's like I was out of body when I did it. Like, I don't know why I did that. And he came in the bathroom and seen that and made me stand up out of the tub and beat me. And I swear that belt felt like electricity when it came to that water on my body and that belt and that water. I thought I was getting electrocuted. I ain't gonna even lie. I thought I was getting electrocuted. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna die. Oh my God, that was the worst beating. I don't even want to reminisce on this kind of shit no more. This is getting
right. It's interesting that we tell these things. Even I haven't really told very many stories as far as beating goes in this setting, but it's interesting that we tell these stories after this topic. You know what I'm saying? We know that, you know, I mean, even though it was done with love and, you know,
nah, it was anger.
My parents loved me. But
they loved me, but it was anger. It was anger.
Yeah, it's a trauma response. It's something that they went through, and they went through it for a particular reason. And yeah, you survive, and you end up being a functional adult. But is that really the best way to deal with your children?
Now, I said my father never whooped me, and thank God. Because he was giving me birthday licks one time, and off the first one, pow, on my butt. And I was 8, so I was expecting 8 hits on my behind like this. The first one, I was crying. So I definitely didn't want him to whoop me. So I never got whooped by him. I got whooped by my mother. And usually she would feel bad after whooping me. And so she would make me a shake or, ice cream shake or something like that. Give me some ice cream. And she didn't know it really didn't hurt that bad.
Shit.
Mama can't My mother, no, it didn't hurt me that bad. Now when I was
I
younger,
think
when I was
pull-
like 8, but when I was 12, that's the last time I got a whooping from my mother. That didn't hurt.
My mama will make you spell shit. If you said something crazy, you did something crazy. Like I'm sticking my tongue out at Jehovah's Witness meetings. I'm out there sticking my tongue out. We get in the house, spell tongue.
Wow.
I'm like I'm like 5 years old. Spell tongue. T-U T O N.
Now the way
you spell tongue. Oh my goodness, boy. And again, I understand father beatings now more than ever being a father, because as a father, when you're not at the house when something happens, you're not angry. So like whatever happened, and a lot of times your mother may be emotional about something that happened, and as a father, you're not. And they said, I want you to beat so and so ass because he so and so told me. And as a father, like, well, how do I gotta make myself mad to beat my child? Because I don't want to, I'm not mad. My dad would have to work himself up to give me a beating. Because he ain't thinking about my dad, a laid back, he never raised his voice. So he got Jones, I don't know why you had to do that to your mama. Now I got to beat your ass. I don't want to do this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was that type of thing. So I kind of feel bad for him afterwards. Like he had to work himself up and all that. So it's definitely trauma that they have been through. You know what I'm saying? That they have to like that and just repeating it. So hope everybody's healing from their childhood.
yeah.
Definitely.
You know, that's most of what.
Yeah, well, some people still resent their parents and stuff like that from what happened to them when they were young. Now, I'm not talking about abuse is a whole nother level.
Right.
But you know, just from the regular spankings. Now, I give my children a look, and they'll calm down because
I didn't know the lion's mouth coming next.
Mama bring the lightning. Mama bring the lightning. I bring the thunder. and so now I've spanked my children before, but it's few and far between.
Right.
And I don't want to do that because I like I said, I thought about my father when he, you know, was giving me my birthday licks. He didn't know he was hitting that with that power.
Right.
Yeah. I popped my
He
daughter.
got energy built up in his hand and shit, hitting me with that. But and so when I spank my children, I say, damn, I got this power in my hand. I don't really want to do that. Right. So I usually don't. Like with a Kikiola, now she'll, for some reason, she like kicking me, like hitting me, clawing my arm and shit. When she doing that kind of stuff, what she used her leg kick, I'll pop her leg with, one pop. With the other children, I used to, if I had to spank them, I go one hit per their age.
Yeah.
So if they were 7, that was 7 hits.
You had a system. That's crazy.
And the system kept me under control.
Oh, good job.
Because I know, okay, she's 6. Then she gets 6 hits.
6 lashes.
Not 7. Not 9.
Right. Not what you
not
when you get
shut
tired.
your mouth, shut
right.
up, all that kind of shit. It ain't that kind of thing.
Right.
And so that keeps you under control.
I will say this. Different children need different type of disciplines, and I definitely understand that. Because you see the difference in children as children. You see them. Some children they're never going to be into certain shit. Some children gonna naturally want to get into everything. So you got different type of children. You got to figure out the way to discipline. But I will say this: I never did anything I got beat for again after I got beat. I never repeated it again. So can I say that whipping your children ain't effective, I can't sit here and say that. For certain children, what I got beat for, I never did again. The thing is, I can remember everything I got beat for.
But I'll say the most effective thing my mother ever did was not a whooping.
I can probably say that as well.
I was on the back porch, me and my cousin. We had a cigarette and we were smoking it. And my mother walked out on the back porch and caught me. Caught me as I'm putting it in my mouth. I said, "Oh shit!" And I thought I was gonna get a whooping. She said, "No, go ahead and smoke it. Go ahead and finish it."
I already know where it's going.
I finished it. Then she said, "Here, take another one." I smoked it. Then I felt like kind of sick. She said, "Here, take another one." I said, "Nah, Ma, I don't want it." She said, "Take another one."
That's the same.
I smoked that one. I was, oh God. Here, take another one. I smoked it. I was throwing up. I was shit. My hands were shaking. That was the most memorable punishment I ever had, and I never smoked a cigarette after that.
Yeah, my aunt did that to one of my cousins in front of all of us, made them smoke a pack of cigarettes.
Yes, yeah, I finished the whole pack, and I was sick as a dog.
Mm.
And that taught me. Now, the spankings, I never did it again, but thought about doing it again. I never even thought about smoking a cigarette again.
That bop in the mouth my mama gave me, I ain't gonna lie, that kind of
yeah, I can't say I didn't do the stuff again. I was hard headed. I did quite a few of those things multiple times. Like I don't know. And I only got father beatings for the most part. No, like my mom, like you said, with your mom, it doesn't hurt bad. You know, they want to, but yeah.
I don't know what y'all mom was doing. My mama had me jumping, boy.
When you're young, yes. But when you get older, you know, when you're over 10 or something like that, like it's, you know,
Emmanuel Briggs said same thing happened to me, I guess, about the smoking cigarettes. And I never smoked and can't stand the smell of them to this day. Bingo. I can't stand cigarette smoke. And I can tell when a person has smoked cigarettes, like they may have smoked it 8 hours earlier. I can still smell it on them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, cigarette smoke, man. You never know when you smoke.
But it's funny, yeah. I used to tell my mother, you know, Ma, your clothes smell just like smoke. My clothes don't smell like smoke because she used to smoke. Now, my mother, she smoked a crazy amount. I'll say that. She smoked a crazy amount of cigarettes. Now unfortunately, she has lung cancer. She had stopped 20 years ago, stopped smoking. But still the damage is done. And so now she's, you know, suffering from that damage. So also that's to let you know, be careful, whatever you're doing that is harmful to the body.
Yes.
Be careful because you may stop. Say, I ain't doing that no more. Mm-hmm. But the damage may already be done.
Right. And you never undid the damage. So it's like you on a trajectory. Once certain things start building up in your body, even though you may stop doing the one thing that was making it so bad, other things can still affect that. Once you know you get cancerous cells from right, you may get cancerous cells from smoking, stop smoking, but you still got cancerous cells. Now your diet is feeding it. Now the environment is feeding it, and things of that nature. Once your liver get bad from drinking, you stop drinking, but you still take these pills that's making your liver bad. You still do it. So we got to be. That's why detox and understanding health is important as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
On that drinking, I had a cousin who died from cirrhosis of the liver. Mm-hmm. He actually looked like the Incredible Hulk when he died. Not muscles. I'm talking green.
Oh yeah.
He was literally green. When
your liver goes bad, you get a yellowish tint to you right off.
Yes, but Yes, and that includes like people who work nights. It damages
Yes.
that damages your liver.
Yep.
That's a yellow tint. He had a green tint.
That's bad. Off
He was severely messed up.
liver and kidney failure.
Yeah.
Y'all be safe out there, man.
Yeah,
Please, it's more that it's more stuff that can whoop your ass than a person.
Mm-hmm.
Protect yourself at all times.
Yes.
I just suffered a heart attack. I was at the hospital, and that's what I was thinking. Like, I can defend myself against most people. Whatever that may mean to you, hand, knife, gun, whatever it means to you. But I couldn't defend myself against this. Well, I could have defended myself against a heart attack by eating properly and exercising. And I was told to exercise by certain people important to me, living or dead. I was told that I had to work out. I was told that our class had to work out again, beyond the techniques we're doing. I didn't do any of those, and I suffered a heart attack. I said, you know, my diet's good. It wasn't just diet. It was also exercise.
I'm proud of my mother. She just got her checkup, and shout out to the doctor who said, I don't even know why you come to me. Everything your son telling you, if you just do what he say, you'll be fine. And that was the biggest compliment he could have gave me.
Huge. Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, the black seed oil, she started taking that, lowering her pressure, doing different things. He's like, yeah, everything he telling you, if you just do that, you wouldn't even need to see me at all. You don't really need to see me. You listen to him.
I just found out that a very important figure, a celebrity, religious celebrity, he just had a stent put in his arteries. His arteries closed. And he's 90 years old. Wow. And the reason I say he's 90, at certain ages, you know, you're too old to take these things.
Yeah, they normally won't do certain surgeries.
Right. So he got a stent put into his artery.
I guess a tribute to his health, I guess, being in pretty good shape.
And some of y'all probably know who I'm talking about.
I already know what I'm talking about right up top.
In fact, a close friend of mine who really is like my brother, he's on that person's health team, and so he told me, you know.
Right. I know you and Al Sharpton used to be real cool back in the days.
Al Sharpton's informant ass, no sir.
Yeah. Get some sunlight, some kidda.
I developed vitamin D deficiency. Yeah, get some sunlight because I didn't go outside for a year and a half. Ooh.
COVID.
Maybe, or maybe they have a phobia of going outside.
Got to sunbathe, man. You have to do some sunbathing. You wouldn't.
For COVID, I still went outside, enjoyed the air.
Yeah.
I just certain people I wouldn't be around, or certain areas I wouldn't be around. But I was outside or in my own area. Well, where I live, I got a lake behind my house, and
just bragging.
I was over there bragging. I ain't bragging, but I was over there. I was over there, you know, by the lake.
The water flowing.
Just feeling good.
Swans.
Feet dangling in the lake.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. But
I had to work my way back up to being able to walk. Damn. So you were in a house because of some injury,
Cancer,
cancer. Oh,
2023.
damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're still with us, some kitty. I'm glad. Diagnosed with black. Do you still have cancer now, or did it go into remission? Wow. Well, I pray you get better. You
Yes.
feel better, and you know, do what you have to do to make sure you heal. Say, I'm good now, cancer free. Yeah.
Great. Amaniki's in the room. She got kicked out.
She got kicked out of her own room in the house. Damn.
No, not the child.
You can hear me say that, Omaniki?
Yes, I heard.
I didn't know y'all could hear when you back there because I be singing and shit and all kinds of job. I didn't know y'all could hear me.
Yes, most definitely.
They removed her bladder. Damn. Have a prosthetic for it.
Wow. So it was bladder cancer then. Oh, right, bladder cancer. Okay. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on out here. I mean, we gotta just be as active as possible in
Now,
helping yourself.
the brother I told you about, he told me that thousands of people in his organization are suffering from heart attacks and strokes.
Mm.
And I said, well, there's got to be something causing that, and to be honest, I think it's linked to the bean pie.
Or
because so many people eat that, and it's full of sugar, it's full of cream, and that and other things, they're eating that's not.
Yeah, they don't have
very, very rich food. But they eat very rich food, but they have the blueprint because of two books that I've written, How to Eat to Live, How to Eat to Live 2. That if you follow that, you'll be all right.
But since you mentioned a rich diet, Baba, just so we can all sort of learn from a situation that I have encountered recently, someone who I've loved and who was close to me has recently been diagnosed with gout. And that is, they call it the rich man's disease or whatever, but it's from eating rich food. And I think, just in my private thoughts, that it also is because you have to be rich to be able to replace the things that are going to start shutting down if you don't stop eating like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the money to have surgeries and have all those different things going on, and you need to get yourself right as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Now, what I taught my children, what me and my wife always say, you can eat this better food that's expensive for you, so you can pay to eat better food, or you can pay the hospital bills.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, actually, some kiddos, there's quite a few things that are red meat, definitely, but there's quite a few things that once you have eaten yourself into the gout condition, that start to affect you. Even like I have a coworker who has it, but like mushrooms and broccoli and cauliflower, those are things that you're not supposed to have when you have gout, because it aggravates the condition because of what actually starts to be manufactured inside of the body. But this person is just like very, very recently trying to do better, but they've known that they've had it for about 6 weeks. But they're finally getting to a place where they're realizing that you have to do better with your eating. So many people with this Western society and this Western medicine and allopathic medicine just think that, oh, well, you just keep doing the same thing, but now you got to take this pill and that's it. And you can live the same way and do the exact same thing, even if that thing is killing you. Because now you just have this pill that you have to take along with it. But with gout, one of the things that my coworker told me, and also Belay, who had a client in his wellness practice who had gout, both of them relayed to me that it doesn't get better until you start eating better. The pills you manage or whatever, the pills do whatever they do. But until you change your diet, it does not truly get better. So, there may be someone out there who is having, a gout diagnosis or dealing with someone who has it. And, just remember that.
Yeah. Like red meat and wine, seafood and alcohol, those things really.
The processed meats too, not just red meat, but
I mean that's without saying, definitely. And carbonated drinks while you're eating those foods
and sugary things.
Yeah, but especially carbonated. It speeds up the process. So you got the yeast carbonated together. It's a combination. That's why like wine, champagne. That's why they say rich people, champagne, beer, and seafood. That combination of yeast and carbonated drinks together, it puts you on a fast track for dis-ease. So anyway, enough of us preaching about health. We can do that all day.
Yeah, Bob.
So next week, get ready. We're gonna do a technical show. I mean, we're doing techniques, so don't know which techniques yet, but I'll come up with it in a couple of days.
How to spar safely.
Now, I was going to do a show about how to punch and get hit safely.
Okay. I wanted to congratulate, give me and Amasun some props when I was changing.
Amasun's another student, by the way.
When I was changing the gym, I realized that neither one of us make noises when we punch, and that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be, because I know when it's coming if you're making noises.
Well, I make noises when I strike.
You make noises when you demonstrating, when you striking. When you was just sparring me real shortly to show me about moving my head, you weren't making no noises.
Yeah, I know when I'm actually fighting, I don't make.
Yeah. And that's a lot of people get caught in the boxing and shit, and that's not actually the way you want to be.
And that uses up unnecessary energy too.
Yes, it does. And that's why I was like, man, neither one of us making noise. We just got to be ready. Goddamn, whoa. Get coming, goddamn. So anyway, thank you.
And yes, we spar with no pads, no protection.
It sounds much crazier than it is.
Yes, some folks are crazy.
When I seen it the first time, I was like, these motherfuckers I'm not doing this shit.
But it's controlled. It's controlled. We know what we're doing.
I haven't been cut, bleed. I've been hit in the face, in the mouth, in the nose. Nothing has been broken. Nothing has bled, because you also training with people who are trained. So you don't nobody ain't swinging for the fences, even though they throwing.
So also so you learn to chop down a tree by doing what? Chopping down a tree. So you can say, I fight somebody and they hit me. I won't. If they hit you, you may collapse. You may break down, ball up. And I've seen that happen to people. Ball up and jive. Usually, if I'm in a fight with somebody and they hit me and they are swinging for the fences, well, I don't even feel it till after.
Yeah, well.
Because of my training. You got to get trained. You got to get yourself trained and take some taps. Take some taps. Yeah. And I say that too. When we just, before even I start training them on sparring, I say, tap them a little bit. Or I say, tap me. Right. Tap me.
Or even when we just doing the techniques, instead of coming to your face, we actually touch your face.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Tap me.
And to answer your question on some kid, think of carbonation and yeast like baking soda and peroxide, and that's to give you an idea of how it feeds each other. So love this show, guys. First time I've tuned in. All right, we appreciate you. I want to learn the staff, the middle staff.
Welcome to one.
I carry one everywhere, but have never trained with it. But boy, let me tell you, quickly that
we can get you ready.
That walking stick, let me tell you, it is an excellent, intelligent tool.
Yes,
that I've gained so much respect from training with Bawa. It's a very dangerous and very intelligent tool. You do well to train on it.
And when you learn it, I get that's what we'll do next week. A thing on the staff.
Okay.
When you strike with the staff, and you know how to strike with one, you can actually snap somebody else's staff. I've done that.
Definitely happened.
So you can snap the staff. You can snap somebody's arm. You can crush their skull or snap their leg, their knee.
So I think that's definitely a good episode to have. The middle, we call it the middle staff. You either got the long bow staff or you got the middle staff. So we call it the middle staff, which is the walking stick. And we can show you how to pick a good one, what makes it a good staff to train with. And
we'll do that next week.
Yeah, Bo. All right, cool.
That's a good episode. And thank you. You weren't trying to give me an episode, but thank you.
That's how it works.
All right. So if y'all don't have nothing else for everybody, that's it for the stream. We love y'all. Stay black, whatever it is that you may be. Stay safe out there.
Hit the like button before we go. Hit the like button.
Yes. In fact, if you like what we do, or if you don't like what we do, hit the like button or the don't like button, because we don't have don't like no more, I don't think, but either one, it made the algorithm, it affected it in a positive way. In case you didn't know that. So smash the like button, subscribe, and join our Patreon. Maybe Belay can give you the Patreon information, but join our Patreon.
Warrior Class Plus, very easy to find. Warrior Class Plus.
So look up Warrior Class Plus on Patreon and join it. And in that Patreon, we deal with stuff that we don't deal with on here, like we do analysis of martial art techniques from other people. Is it real, or is it Memorex, or is it bullshit? Okay. So love y'all. Be careful out here. Be careful in your homes. Keep yourself safe. Stay tooled up. If you don't have a tool, we call what you all call weapons. We call them tools because you're the weapon.
Yeah, bro.
Stay tooled up. If you don't have a tool, get one.
Get some.
You can get something. Yeah, you can have. If you got to have a marker, a steel marker, you can use that, or you can buy a pocket shark for like $5, $5 to $7. A pocket shark is it looks like a marker. It is a marker, but it's also a tool.
Yeah, bro.
And you can take that on planes, you can whatever, because it's made of polymer.
Yeah, bro.
All right, y'all.
Remember, Baba says, if you have one, you have none. So remember that.
Yes. If you have one, you got none. You got two, you got one. Because I can guarantee you, if you're in combat, a fight, you'll lose one. Drop it, get disarmed or whatever. So
when he's saying so at least have a tool, he really means at least two.
Right. All right. Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace.